Hi, this is Gary Kayye. We're here at InfoComm 2018. I'm here with Angela Hlavka, who's with UC Workspace. You probably know them as Quick Launch for those of you who have been doing collaboration boards. First off, Angela, good morning. How are you?
Fantastic. Great show.
This is a great opportunity for you, and you're in a unique position. And for those that don't know what you do, you tell them what Quick Launch is.
We make a meeting room interface that allows you to run multiple types of meetings in a single meeting room. And we can work with either interactive flat panels or standard PCs with keyboard and mouse.
Right, so then in a way, if you're doing a collaboration board or you're doing a room where you have video conferencing or you're going to collaborate on some device, you can provide an interface, like a user experience that is consistent everywhere, regardless of the device they're using. So if they're using Sharp or they're using Avocor or they're using any brand, we're here in the Dell booth right now, it doesn't matter, it's going to have the consistent user interface.
Absolutely right, and we step beyond the meeting. So great is join a meeting, but what about sharing our device wirelessly or wired? What about going to Office 365 or running applications? It's a full solution, not just a meeting room join.
Yeah, and first off, you run, you're sort of platform agnostic, but you'll run on any Windows platform product that's out there. But even you don't see the Windows interface, right? Basically, you sort of take over the display so that they're getting, and you can lay it out however they want so that they have consistency throughout the entire organization, whether it's facility-wide or in a specific meeting room. I mean, am I right on that? And then you add whatever features they want.
Absolutely. So it starts with branding, especially in the new millennial years. You want to have that represent your company. So companies like Duracell who have the whole branding and organization, it gives a representation that we're about collaboration. Right. So we can make it their brand. Two, like you said, add as many action tiles as you want, add as few as you want, and customize it for exactly the experience you're looking for.
Right, so if they use the room just for connecting to Zoom and annotation over the sources and PowerPoint presentations, you can give them that as just choices of functions, but if someone else comes in the room and wants to add every possible function that they could ever do in that room, including controlling the room technically, then you could actually build them a different interface. All they're doing is logging in, depending on which UC platform they use too, which is unique. One of the things that's unique is that you basically ride on top of any of the UC platforms so they can log into what they're familiar with and what they're using as any UC software client.
Absolutely. So the experience you have at the desktop is the experience you're going to have in the room. But we do a little bit more in that, for example, Skype doesn't start with audio and video on, but in a conference room you always want it to. Right. So we do a little bit more with the clients in that regard. And then coming in the future, we're adding the new room controls, which allows us to say, I want more like a Skype room system, so I want the room controls, or I want a Zoom room system, or a BlueJeans room system. So we have a next generation of room controls coming as well.
Yeah, let's talk about the next generation, because in about September, I understand you're going to launch a big update. So if you want to see what they have now, you can go to ucworkspace.com. It's called Quick Launch. You can also search our site. We've done quite a few videos and articles on it. But tell us a little bit about the updates to what you're going to provide as some of the new functionality and new features, because you're demonstrating some of that here at InfoComm.
Yeah, we are. So the first one is some companies wanted a level of security that says, I don't want anybody to even use a meeting room system until they're authenticated to our company. So that's what we call check-in, which uses Active Directory or your directory services to check in. We talked about the room controls. And the third thing is adding Windows 10, the latest update, has some new features with being able to screen sketch and snip, and now...
But they're hidden. They're like buried. It's hard to find those features.
Absolutely. So we've exposed it in a single button now to make it super easy for the users. But sure, we go and capture stuff, but now what? That takes where our system already takes over, emails it out, erases it, makes it clean and fresh for the next user to come into the room.
But even people who are connected to it, you're able to actually, everything you're doing on the large display in the room, you can mirror back to whoever's connected to it in the room as well.
Absolutely, so everybody can participate. You can even do things that are really funky about control and having the far end do the snipping and all kinds of different things.
And you can customize that if the application calls for it, if the customer wants it, you can basically customize it so that they give their users only the features that they need rather than sort of filling their desktop with everything.
That's exactly it. That's what the kiosk mode is for. Admin determines what they've got to use. And then we have a second mode for more like executive offices where they want to use everything. And so again, either kiosk lockdown or full executive exposure.
And one of the issues that I've heard and noticed, there's been this explosion of the collaboration room, but also in the collaboration board space. is that there's been a big concern about security, and that not everyone has as secure an OS as everyone else. Just because they're using Windows doesn't mean everything is secure. You're adding a layer of security there as well.
Absolutely. So we actually take over the shell and the Explorer and other things, so that we actually replace it, so that you're not actually exposed to the security built in. Yeah.
So one of the examples is, for example, someone walking in the room and just starting to use a browser, you could actually make that a login function if they're concerned with security, even with that simple of a functionality.
Absolutely. That's what the check-in function is all about.
Yeah. So it's called Quick Launch, and if you're doing collaboration and you want a consistent user interface, regardless. So if you're buying Newline, or you're buying Avocor, or you're buying Microsoft or Dell or whatever you're buying, you'll have the consistent interface rather than having a totally different interface with each device. But more importantly, all the people who are participating in the meeting see the same interface, and you can have that same interface experience everywhere, so that they're and not have to re-log in. Whatever you're used to using as a service that you use, you'll be able to log in and use. Now, you mentioned BlueJeans, Zoom, Skype, Microsoft Teams. Did I miss any others? I mean, anything.
Oh, there's 2BD. We've got a couple more coming later this summer.
There are a couple of more coming. That's becoming a big part of the market. We were over at Zoom earlier, and they were raving about the fact that the consistent experience is a big deal for them. So you're a big part of their partnership program. So.
Yeah, the only other thing we didn't talk about a little bit is our next generation wireless. That'll come out in Q4 as well.
Yeah, talk about that, because you're doing something a little unique. Are you willing to talk about on camera what you're going to do that's a little bit surprising?
So one of the things that the industry wanted was the ability to touch back, but not just on a Windows device, but maybe on a Mac and iOS and Android and other things.
Even though you're using a Windows device here.
Even though you're using a Windows device here, I want to be able to, from my Mac, control the front of the room, or from the front of the room to the Mac. So we have a different way of approaching wireless altogether.
That's going to be really interesting. So again, if you're using a Windows, obviously using a Windows operating system for these collaboration boards, you're using a Mac in the room, they're going to be able to communicate bidirectionally and still have the same experience, touch experience either way. And that would include even potentially an iPad or an iPhone or any device you want to use, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see. This update will come out in September.
This wireless will be Q4 and update September timeframe.
Okay, so two different updates then. Again, quick launch, ucworkspace.com. Angela, thank you very much for joining me today. I know you're busy. This is a busy show. We got a lot to cover. Of course, if you want to see all of our InfoComm coverage, go to ravepubs.com/InfoComm2018, but definitely visit ucworkspace.com.